that, and we'd like to do that with Marc Daniels, voice of UCF Athletics. He joins us, Craig Smoak, David Smoak, on 365 Sports. So I went to your latest Twitter feed, timeline, boom, boom, and boom from Gus Malzahn. I would think that means recruiting.
These day and age, you can kind of put 2 and 2 together and sometimes get 5. But yeah, it's that time of year, guys, in this recruiting cycle, whatever we have right now with big recruiting weekends and visits and things like that, and how coaches and players work the social media game. But, based on what players have gone on and said on social media, it's been a, good couple of days for UCF. Nothing's official. As you guys know, now the second stage of recruiting begins. You get players that sometimes commit, and now you've got the work to do to, keep them happy for the next 5 to 6 months. And, that's part of this challenging recruiting cycle. But I think what, Gus has had is a really good start to building a tremendous class. He comes off of having the best class in UCF history, recruiting a different caliber of player. He's had a couple of really big weekends of getting some of the nation's best players in, not just in Florida, but outside the state, and is selling a vision that he's got for UCF. And, it seems to be appealing to a number of players that have decided they don't want to wait and want to declare themselves knights.
Mark, we were just talking to Joseph Duarte, who covers Houston, about just a little bit of the buzz that's building up with them right now. And I know we've asked you previously, what's the mood like? What's the environment like? Well, now here we are, and Media Days is a month away, and UCF's going to be there as a full representative with players and Coach Malzahn in tow and all of that. So what does it kind of feel like knowing that there's still a little bit of a wait left? Is there a spike in season tickets? Is there, a different level of anticipation, or does it kind of seem business as usual for the Knights right now?
Well, there's no question level of excitement as far as spike in season tickets. UCF sold its stadium out last year, so that's not going to change for the upcoming season. We're just about sold out. Maybe literally a couple dozen tickets left. The one thing that's a significant change, and it's a compliment, and we do that in the Big 12, is now all of the visiting team seats are going to be sold. In the past, in the American, we just didn't sell many tickets to visiting teams. That's not the case with our Big 12 schedule. But our stadium, was sold out last year. It'll be sold out this year. But there is a different level of excitement at UCF. We're doing some things to kind of help count down towards the season, a few different features online and through our social media content, and just the other buzz. And guys, now when UCF fans look up in preseason magazines or check online, it's a different vibe because of who you're compared with. And I even commented today on my show, filling out a preseason ballot as well as all conference teams. It's new for me, from a standpoint of learning different players in what is now UCF's league. So I think all those things have added to the layer of excitement for UCF, and you can kind of sense it. It's as you guys said, it's that mid-June, that little bit of a vibe as we head towards July and media days. But there's no question that you can feel it's just different. The fact that you're in a new league and new opponents and different expectations and how you stack up, it's just different than it's been the last several years in a different league.
Mark, do you see or have you reflected back on how they got to this point? Is that something that is a part of the countdown to July the 1st, or at least since the fall of 21 when all this became, well, you're going to be a part of the UCF was going to be a part of the Big 12 and a Power 5 conference?
Yeah, we just on Friday, I wrote a column. It's one of 12 for 12 pieces that we're doing as a countdown. And my piece and our content team did an amazing job. I just wrote the column, but it was about what the on-campus stadium has meant to UCF. And so a lot of those things are pointing to what are some of the key moments about it. And I do think that when UCF opened its stadium in 2007, and the only school to open both the football stadium and basketball arena in the same year, it was a game changer because it gave UCF fans a true on-campus game day experience. It brought people on campus that had not been coming to campus. It connected alums and friends and family that today still sit by each other, 16 years later. It brought in big-time opponents and gave UCF a unique home field advantage that's different. And as we often say, we may not be the biggest stadium and have the same bells and whistles, but we've created a personality, and it kind of is who we are. But, you point back, and guys, we've talked about it before. No one can deny that, the back-to-back undefeated seasons in 2017 and 18 played a significant role. I said the 41 wins over 4 seasons of 2017, 18, 19, and 20 were significant because the timing worked. UCF was on the radar the the last time the Big 12 had talked about expansion, the conference chose to not expand. And, we've not denied it. The minute that Oklahoma and Texas made a move and the Big 12 decided to go and expand deeper in conversations and do it, UCF's body of work was better than it was the first time and laid the foundation, I think, for what became where we are today. But I think UCF fans look back and they know the value of what 2017 and 18 was, and to create a brand and be a little bit different. We're going into a league. We're still we're the youngest school in the Big 12. We're the youngest Power 5 school in the country. So we're a little bit different. Schools have 150, 200 years head start in different traditions. We've created our own traditions, and we're able to do a few things different. I've said this about Gus Malzahn. Gus has come to UCF and has embraced the benefit of social media, where he's able to do things that he didn't have to do at Auburn because of the decades of traditions that they had here. So that's what makes UCF unique, and that makes it a little bit different level of excitement for where they're going.
I don't know why I pulled this up, Mark, but talking about just the difference in history, the first bowl game, 2005, correct?
Is that Dante Culpepper?
Yes, the Hawaii Bowl.
Yes, but then...
No.
He's okay.
2005 was Kevin Smith was there and played a great bowl game against Nevada, lost on a missed extra point.
But then a few years later, a win over Georgia, which you look back on that now is pretty incredible. The Baylor win followed that a couple years later. Auburn a few years after that. So, 2005 to play your first bowl game, I think that kind of puts it in perspective for people of just how youthful this program is compared to, basically everybody that they come across.
Yeah, I'm going into my 29th year, and that's a long time. But you talk about the infancy of the football program. When I started in 1995, UCF was still a 1AA program. And guys, you know how this business works. To be less than 30 years to make the jump of 1AA, independent, member of the MAC, CUSA, about an hour and a half in the Big East that then became the American. And now, a decade later to get into the Big 12, it is a meteoric rise just because of the challenges that have existed in college sports for programs that have yearned to move up. As we've talked before, you can't pay your way up, and for the most part, you weren't able to win your way up. UCF was in the right place at the right time, where their success on the football field put them in a position to do that. But the journey of where the program was, and guys, you go back to the first Fiesta Bowl for UCF that went over Baylor. That year UCF won its bowl appeal. They were originally banned from playing in a bowl game for NCAA violations. UCF originally was not going to appeal, but George O'Leary went to then University President John Hinton, said it's worth it. We owe it to these kids. Everybody said you're never going to win against the NCAA. You don't win bowl bans. And they challenged it, and they won. And I don't know where we are today. UCF still may be in the same place. But if they don't win that bowl appeal that year, then there is no Fiesta Bowl, first one over Baylor. And for UCF, it was such a significant win because a national stage to win in a bowl game like that it helped develop the brand back then. Then a different level after the 2017 season. But as people point, say 17, the undefeated year was so important, I would tell people it was, but so was winning the bowl ban in the only year that UCF had a chance in the then BCS to get that bowl bid. And that year, they won at Penn State. They beat Teddy Bridgewater in a top 10 game against Louisville, and then won the conference outright, and then went to the Fiesta Bowl and beat Baylor.
And I'll never forget that Fiesta Bowl because Baylor had just won their conference title. They were rolling. Mm-hmm. That was during a stretch. And they walk into that game, and Bortles and UCF, and I remember looking at the athletes, they were really good. I mean, that was impressive. They pretty much dictated that from start to finish. From that moment, I remember covering that game at the Fiesta Bowl. So when you look at UCF quarterback with Plumlee coming back and the tremendous athlete that he is, obviously seems to have great leadership skills. Could you have wanted anything better with him coming in this year with the Big 12 and him at quarterback?
Well, I'm a big John Rice Plumlee fan. I think he's going to be better for just some basic reasons. It's another year playing the position. I don't think people understood that you play it the way that he played at high school when he got to Ole Miss, and they moved him to wide receiver, and you don't just flip the switch a couple of years later. You get back to playing quarterback, and then even though UCF utilized his running ability, he was asked to throw the ball far more than when he was Ole Miss before Lane Kiffin got there. And then he got dinged up, a couple times last year. And even though he was busy playing baseball, I think that he has really taken to a new offensive coordinator, Darren Henshaw. They've clicked, and I think you're going to see a much better quarterback. And he didn't have a bad year at all last season, a good year. But I think a healthier guy, more experience playing the position, a true off season of working with receivers, and I think he's going to be even better. They will continue to use him as a run threat, but I think you're going to see a more efficient passer with a few tweaks to the offense that UCF has. And you guys know this. A quarterback is just so good. He'll make plays to win games. He can also lose games for you. But you got to have protection, and you got to have weapons. And for UCF, they better for where they're going against the quality defenses that they'll play. They've got a kind of a remade offensive line like a lot of teams face with the portal impacting, and UCF brought in a number of offensive linemen. I think they're better at offensive line than they were last year. There's no shortage of running backs. So there's plenty of Florida speed that's there, a talented group of wide receivers. So he'll have the weapons to help him be better, and I think you'll see another step for him. He's going to step into a different level of competition, but I think he's in a better place to have success than where he was last year, which was still relatively inexperienced as a college quarterback.
Mark, you mentioned at the beginning just some of the differences now. For example, taking a look at the preseason poll, and it's funny timing because I happened to look at the Big 12s last night and started just fill it out a little bit, and I'm going to go back and look at it probably a couple more times and do a little bit of research. But I got probably 3/4 of the way through, and I went, oh, gosh, I forgot 4 schools. And they're playing, I got to remember, like Cincinnati and BYU. And so I had to go back. But for somebody who covers them and knows them like a blanket, we know about John Rice Plumlee, obviously. But who are a couple of guys that you think are all conference level potential types of players that you think people should know the names of heading in?
Jason Johnson, UCF's linebacker, is a great story. He's a 1AA FCS linebacker a couple of years ago. You add, okay, let's see what happens. And just the classic case of a guy that just makes tackles. Doesn't talk much, but you look up and go, oh, he's got 14 tackles. Oh, he made this tackle for a loss. Definitely somebody that I think could play at that level. Trayvon Morris-Brash, a defensive end for UCF. He's a bit undersized, but sneaky quick. And I think he's set for a big year if he stays healthy as well. I think for UCF, outside of John Rice Plumlee, Javon Baker, wide receiver, Alabama transfer, such a big one-on-one guy that won so many plays of basically throw it up and can you go up and make plays. Acrobatic, very smart, knows where to be to run routes. I think Javon is set for a really big year as well for UCF. Lakai Fule is an offensive lineman. It's been at UCF from Hawaii. Very solid guy, versatile. He's another name there. So there's some guys there. There's some other players that came in via the transfer portal. It's funny you talked about putting that ballot together. I was the same way, not so much of forgetting the teams because I saw the guys at Cincinnati and Houston. For me, getting familiar with some of the interior linemen in the Big 12 that you don't typically follow when you're watching the game on TV. But the other thing is, I'm sure you looked at, is with all the transfers now, you got to make sure, okay, who transferred in and where they come from? Oh, wait a minute, that guy was really good. He was all conference, when he was there. And I think the league, has a few of those, as every league does, trying to upgrade. So I tried to not forget some of those guys that are also stepping into the Big 12.
The newcomer of the year is like a 200-person list because you've got recruits and you've got transfers. So, yeah, that definitely spices up that award for sure.
Mark,
it is, absolutely. Yeah.
Mark, your thoughts about the fan base. I remember when the story started to percolate back in the fall or even late summer of 2021 after Texas OU SEC, and I made the mistake. Of saying the blank Knights, not in a cuss word, but yeah. And my God, my, and I mean, like I had to run to some kind of a missile launch area in Wyoming. But I mean, it is, and I mean that it was fun for a while, and it went on for a long time. But how passionate are these fans? One, they already were passionate, and now a chance for this national stage. What is this going to be like? How people understand what they're getting into with UCF fan base and alums?
Well, first, I got your back. Next time something that happens, I will stand in front and protect you, okay? So I got you on that. I say this as a compliment to our fan base. My guess is we quickly will become one of the most hated fan bases in the league because of how they attack people on Twitter, whether it's a mistake over a name or anything like that. But again, guys, I think our youth is an advantage for what UCF is. Again, we're going into a league that better than me, where programs have played football for more than 100 years and universities have existed, some for almost 200 years. So again, we do things a little bit different. And like in Texas, Florida loves their football, but UCF fans are very protective of the brand, of saying the right name, of defending the size and the sound and the challenge of playing in their stadium. And I think that's fantastic. Just like I look forward to going to some stadium venues that I've not been a part of. And the same deal when teams come to our place. And again, I look forward to that. We played so many games in the American and previous conferences where you look over that visiting section and there's 50 people there, maybe 200. Now I look forward to go, whoa, that's Baylor Green, or that's, Texas Tech Red and everything. But UCF fans are proud of their passion. I'm sure that we look forward, they do, at least the UCF Twitter Mafia, for some fun engagement that's within reason on social media, as long as it's all in good fun. But guys, that's part of what college football is about. And I think the fan base looks forward to a new group of fans to kind of go back and forth with and to visit some new cities that they haven't been to before. So yes, there's that level of excitement. And I think people have fun with our fan base, and hopefully they don't take everything so serious.
Will you be at Big 12 Media Days? I hope so, right?
I shall be there. I will be there. Absolutely look forward to it. I may look to guys like you to tell me where to go here, there, and there. So I will be there.
We'll be there. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate your time. Can't wait to see you, meet you. Marc Daniels, voice of UCF Athletics. And you can get – and I